Your mind was not designed for success. Evolution didn't shape the human brain to achieve genius, and certainly not financial freedom. The brain was built for one thing only: survival. It carries millions of years of biological programming, and that programming prioritizes fear, laziness, and the search for the easiest path. That's why so many men and women remain stuck in cycles of mediocrity. They're trying to run an extraordinary life on outdated software. But pay very close attention to me right now. There's a secret, almost forbidden, that can completely transform your life. The mental hack to unlock success 100 times faster. Think about a computer. It can be hacked, it can be optimized, and it can become something far more powerful than it was at the beginning. Now imagine your mind the same way. It's also like a computer, but infinitely more complex. If someone can unlock hidden functions in an ordinary machine, just imagine what happens when you learn to hack your own brain. You unlock resources that were always there but never used. You accelerate processes, create new pathways, open possibilities that once seemed unreachable. The difference is that, when it comes to the mind, this hack doesn't just boost performance, it redefines who you are and what you can achieve. That's why you must hack your mind. You can't expect it to naturally move toward discipline, focus, and success. You need to break that primitive pattern and install new instructions that will stimulate and train your brain until it becomes a machine of achievement. What you need to do with your mind is recreate it, to build a new system inside it. And now I ask you, are you ready to reprogram your brain and open the door to a whole new level of life? Because starting right now, I'm going to show you how to turn this theory into practice. So pay close attention. True understanding only happens when we can explain something in a simple way. Let me explain it to you more clearly. The mind is biological hardware with software installed by genetics, by society, and by your personal history. These programs define what you believe to be possible, but you don't have to accept that code as final. You can question it, rewrite it, install new lines of command. When you decide to read every day, when you force yourself to study what others avoid, when you choose to face emotions instead of running from them, you're literally writing new code inside your brain. But listen carefully. You can't hack something without inserting an intruder. In machines, that intruder might be a script, a patch that forces the system to work differently. But in your mind, the intruder is pain, the discomfort of acting against your natural impulse, the effort of doing something your body and your habits reject. It's waking up early when your body wants to sleep. It's pushing yourself to study when your brain craves distraction. That intruder, the pain of unnatural effort, is the first step to rewriting your mental code. Inside this method, the first thing to understand is that nothing unnatural for your mind will ever exist without pain. If you want to take your mind towards success, you must accept pain as part of the process, not as a sign of failure. Accepting doesn't mean liking it. It means recognizing that discomfort is the fuel of transformation. So first, give pain a name. Don't run from it. Identify it. Is it fatigue? Is it fear? Is it boredom? When you name the enemy, it loses part of its power over you. Then, reduce the barrier. Instead of waiting to have the energy to read an entire book, start with 5 minutes. Instead of promising to change your whole life at once, take one small but firm step. The brain learns in small doses. And realize this, your mind also has an antivirus constantly running, trying to protect you. These are the beliefs you've collected, the patterns you've learned since childhood, the habits that became automatic. That antivirus acts to block any change because it was designed to keep you in the same place. It doesn't understand that you want to prosper. It only understands that change means risk. That's why when you try to install a new mental program, the inner antivirus starts screaming, "This isn't you. This won't work. Why even try?" But this is exactly where the hack comes in. Every time you face that block, every time you push through, you're showing the system that the new code is valid. And the more you reinforce it, the weaker the antivirus becomes. And here's the most powerful part. You can reprogram the antivirus itself. When you begin to associate pain with the old pattern and pleasure with the new, the system itself starts protecting the path it once rejected. That's how you transform limiting beliefs into liberating ones. That's how your mind stops being a prison and becomes your ally. But guess what? This process requires pain. And if there's pain, that's a good sign. It means the hack is working. And this is the line that separates those who win from those who quit. The weak interpret pain as proof that they weren't born for this. The strong understand pain as the entry ticket to a new level of life. They know that every difficult emotion is just a code waiting to be rewritten. Imagine this. You feel fear. But what is fear if not primitive programming to protect you from danger? When you confront that fear, you show your system it doesn't need to react with panic, but with focus. You teach it. Every emotion the world labels as bad carries a hidden benefit if you know how to use it the right way. There's no such thing as a useless emotion. What exists is energy that hasn't been directed properly. And here's the secret. The anxiety that once paralyzed you can turn into adrenaline to make you act faster. It prepares you for the future. Have you noticed that when you're stressed, you become more focused? Stress sharpens attention and priorities. It sharpens your focus. In small doses, it forces you to cut the noise, see what truly matters, and act. Use this. When you feel pressure, make a strict list of 3 things that generate immediate results. Stress will push you toward those tasks. You just need to direct it. Anger is raw power. It gives you strength and courage to break through barriers. Channel anger into disciplined work. Short sets of heavy tasks, 25-minute sprints, physical training. Well-directed anger becomes focus and productivity. Fear, so often condemned, is actually a powerful radar. It shows you where the risks are, and if you face it with courage, fear becomes a guide. It doesn't have to freeze you. It can teach you to prepare, to sharpen your skills, and to step onto the field more competent. Even sadness has a role. It slows you down, pushes you to reflect, forces you to look within. That painful dive can produce clarity, learning, maturity. Sadness can be a turning point if you turn it into a lesson. That's the real hack. Realizing that nothing in you is wasted. Every emotion, used the right way, is a piece of code ready to be executed in favor of your success. So here's a practical guide to start hacking your mind. When you feel stress, don't fight it. Stop, take 3 deep breaths, and ask, what needs my attention right now? Use stress as a filter. Choose 1 or 2 key tasks and attack them with intensity. Stress will turn into focus. When anxiety shows up, don't let it swallow you. Turn anxiety into movement. Take that electric energy in your body and convert it into immediate action. Rehearse out loud. Organize your desk. Draft a quick outline. You'll feel the relief of action and realize anxiety was just fuel. If fear comes, look it in the eye. Ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario and how can I prepare? Once you prepare, fear shrinks because now there's a plan, a strategy. What felt paralyzing becomes guidance. With anger, don't explode. Channel it. Use it to work harder, train stronger, create with sharper focus. Think, every drop of anger can be converted into creative power if you choose the right target. In sadness, instead of drowning, treat it as an invitation to reflect. Write. Question yourself. Pull clarity out of pain. Many of the greatest works and ideas were born in moments of sadness because that's when the mind turns inward and finds meaning. When guilt or shame hit, don't run. Own it. Learn. Correct. Use them as a compass to realign your behavior and build a more integral, respected version of yourself. The secret is simple. Name the emotion, accept the pain, convert it into action. That's how you hack the brain. That's how you turn what looked like weakness into strength. Do you see the power in this? Once you understand that every so-called negative emotion can become a tool, you'll never again look inside yourself as an enemy. You'll see an arsenal ready to be used in your climb towards success. But now pay very close attention. The true mental hack isn't just turning pain into strength. It's also breaking addictions and reprogramming routines. Think about it. Every bad habit you have, procrastinating, infinite scrolling, eating what harms your body, postponing what must be done, is like a virus installed in your system. It runs automatically without you noticing, sabotaging your performance. And here's the hard truth. You never actually lose a habit. You only replace it. If you don't install a new program, the old one keeps running. So how do you do this? Pay attention. Step 1. Identify the trigger. Every addiction has a starting point. It might be boredom, it might be stress, it might simply be the sight of your phone in front of you. Name that trigger. Once you see the starting point, you've already begun to defuse the bomb. Step 2. Flip the routine. When you feel the urge to procrastinate, don't fight the emptiness. Fill it with a minimum action. If you were about to scroll endlessly, open a book for 5 minutes instead. This substitute habit is the hack that tricks the system, turning sabotage into progress. Step 3. Install the right rewards. Your brain loves dopamine, and that's why addiction sticks so hard. So create pleasure in the new habit. Celebrate waking up early with an energizing cold shower. Pair reading with a special cup of coffee. Give yourself small rewards when you hit a goal. You're training the system to love what it once rejected. And here's the final key: consistency. Nobody becomes a genius overnight. But when you repeat for 30, 60, 90 days, what once felt like effort becomes automatic. The habit of procrastination gives way to the habit of action. The habit of waking up late gives way to the habit of rising with purpose. The habit of consuming empty things is replaced by the habit of feeding your mind with powerful knowledge. To truly understand something is to be able to play with it. So play with your habits. Experiment with change. Test rewards. Adjust triggers. That's how you hack the system. Now I ask you, are you ready to break into the programming that's been holding you back and install the most powerful version of yourself? So now I want you to do something. Write in the comments which habit you're going to hack first. It might be waking up early, stopping procrastination, reading every day, or mastering your emotions. Declare it publicly, because when you write it down, you're programming your brain to act. And if this video opened your eyes, if it made you think in a different way, hit the like button right now. That's the signal you send to the algorithm and to yourself that you're committed to growth. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you want to keep receiving secrets, techniques, and powerful hacks to transform your mind and your life. Because I promise you, this is just the beginning of a journey that can completely reprogram your destiny. Hack your mind, rewrite your story, and claim everything you deserve. When someone says they need to be more productive, what they usually mean is that they've lost control of their own attention. The real problem is never productivity. The real problem is cognitive indiscipline, the inability to decide what truly deserves mental energy. An undisciplined mind confuses movement with progress. It acts before understanding, collects endless tasks, reacts to every stimulus, and calls that work. But work without direction isn't productivity, it's noise. And the more noise there is, the less clarity you have. In neuroscience, this is known as cognitive hyperactivity, a brain processing more information than it can organize. The result is exhaustion, and ironically, a deep sense of unproductivity. Discipline, in contrast, is a form of mental engineering. It's the deliberate act of limiting what enters your mind so you can preserve your ability to think. To be disciplined is to choose focus before action, and every choice is also an exclusion. Saying yes to one thing means saying no to everything else. A disciplined brain works like a filter. It cuts out useless input, prioritizes the essential, and saves neural energy. That's not a metaphor, that's physiology. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus and decision-making, consumes enormous energy. The more irrelevant decisions you make, the faster it burns out, and the harder it becomes to make the right one. That's why disciplined people appear calm, not because they have more time, but because their brain wastes less energy fixing mistakes born from hurry. An undisciplined mind is always reacting. A disciplined mind is always directing. And the difference between reacting and directing is what separates effort from results. Have you noticed how the brain hates silence? When there's no stimulus, it creates one. When there's no urgency, it invents it. That's how the restless mind is born, a system that craves speed when it actually needs precision. Hurry is a biological reflex, not a rational choice. It comes from the same mechanism that once saved our ancestors from danger. What was useful for escaping predators has now become mental sabotage. The The modern brain lives in a constant state of alert, surrounded by notifications, sounds, and microstimuli. Every phone buzz is treated as urgent, even when it isn't. And the more stimuli, the more dopamine. More dopamine, more urgency. More urgency, less clarity. That's where discipline starts to disappear. Because discipline is the ability to hold a steady intention in the presence of distractions. But an overstimulated brain loses that ability. It acts by reflex, not by decision. Neuroscience calls this dopaminergic hyperactivation. The brain starts chasing constant rewards like a radar, addicted to novelty. It becomes used to stimulation, not focus. And focus is the first thing that dies in a restless mind. Disciplined people don't have more willpower. They have less internal noise. They create conditions for the brain to think, not just react. That's why the first step toward discipline isn't doing more. It's reducing the number of stimuli that control you. A brain that reacts all the time will never command anything. And the difference between reacting and commanding is what determines the destiny of a mind. Popular culture turned willpower into a kind of superpower. If you want it badly enough, you can do it. But neuroscience is clear. Wanting is not power. It's only intention. And intention without structure is unstable. One of the most famous experiments on this was conducted at Case Western Reserve University. Researchers divided people into two groups. One group could eat the cookies on the table. The other had to resist and eat only radishes. After that, everyone was given an impossible logic puzzle to solve. The result? The group that had resisted the cookies gave up much faster. They weren't less intelligent. They had simply depleted their self-control. Willpower is like a muscle. The more you use it, the faster it tires. That explains why disciplined people seem to have more energy. They don't waste willpower on small decisions. They design their environment and routines so that the right action happens naturally. That's the key to true discipline. It's not about resisting temptation. It's about preventing it from appearing in the first place. The brain doesn't win what it must fight every day. It wins what it no longer has to face. Willpower is a scarce resource. Discipline is the system that protects it. That's why people who try to change only with motivation always fail. Because motivation is emotion, and emotion is volatile. Discipline is design, and good design doesn't rely on constant effort. It relies on intelligent structure. If you want to turn this idea into action, the first step is to stop relying on willpower and start designing your own system. The brain doesn't respect promises, it respects patterns. That means you have to replace daily decisions with fixed structures. Don't say, "I'll try to wake up early tomorrow." Say, "I'll wake up at 6, and my phone will sleep in another room." That way you remove the negotiation before it even begins. Apply this principle to everything. If you want to eat better, don't wait to resist hunger. Organize your fridge so the right choice is the easiest one. If you want to study, define the exact time and place it will happen every day. Keep both constant. The brain learns through context. When the body recognizes a pattern, it switches to automatic mode. The secret is to reduce the number of decisions you need to make. The fewer choices your brain has to process, the more energy it has left to execute. That's what separates a disciplined person from a tired one. The disciplined don't constantly wonder what they should do. They simply follow the system they built. So stop trying to be strong. Start being strategic. Design your days the way an engineer designs a machine, with processes, not with hope. Self-control isn't the act of resisting. It's the result of having prepared the environment so that resistance isn't necessary. The human brain is a machine built for efficiency. It hates conscious effort. Anything that can be turned into a pattern, it turns into one. Anything that can be automated, it automates. That's why habits are so powerful and so dangerous. They don't ask for permission. A repeated behavior gets encoded into automatic circuits outside your conscious control. The mind starts executing it on its own, like a background program running quietly beneath awareness. Discipline is exactly that, a mental code, learned and repeated until it becomes natural. Disciplined people don't wake up every day fighting laziness. They wake up and execute, because disciplined behavior has already become part of their neural identity. Science calls this implicit learning, the type of learning that happens without you realizing it. Each repetition strengthens a neural pathway. Each pathway grows stronger with use, and the stronger the circuit, the less effort it takes to repeat it. But here's a crucial detail. The brain doesn't judge whether a habit is good or bad. It only understands that something has been repeated. A disciplined mind doesn't depend on willpower. It depends on structure, repeated and consistent. Once you understand that, you realize that discipline isn't an emotional state. It's an algorithm. Every thought, every choice, every moment of resistance costs energy. The brain makes up only 2% of your body, but it consumes up to 20% of all available energy. And the area that burns the most is the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for decision, focus, and control. When you feel tired without having done anything physical, that's your prefrontal cortex burning out. It depletes itself every time you need to decide what to do, resist an impulse, or switch between tasks. That's why undisciplined people are always exhausted. Not because they work more, but because they waste energy on useless decisions. They overthink before acting, and then act without knowing why. They live in a loop, decide, give up, regret, and decide again. The disciplined mind, on the other hand, works with economy. It reduces the number of decisions that need to be made. Everything that can be standardized is standardized. Everything that can be removed is removed. That's why highly disciplined people often seem calm, even detached. It's not a lack of emotion, it's cognitive efficiency. They treat attention as a finite resource and protect every fragment of it. Focus isn't strength, it's energy management. You don't lose discipline because you're weak. You lose it because you waste energy on the wrong things. A brain divided among 1,000 stimuli can't sustain intention in any of them. From a neuroscientific point of view, being disciplined means learning to reduce the cost of decisions. It means turning the essential into routine so that your prefrontal cortex only works on what truly matters. The less energy you waste deciding, the more energy you have left to build. That's the math of discipline. Fewer decisions, more consistency. Less effort, more progress.
You're not as free as you think. Most of what you call choice is just a response to the environment. The brain is a machine of adaptation. It reads what's around it and acts accordingly, long before you're even aware of it. Neuroscience calls this environmental priming, external stimuli that shape your automatic behaviors. A simple example: if your phone is on the table, you'll look at it. Not because you decided to, but because your brain has been conditioned to react to that object. Every element of your environment is a trigger. Some trigger productivity, others trigger distraction. That's why undisciplined people live in conflict. They try to change behavior while keeping the same environment. Discipline doesn't grow in chaos. The environment must support the behavior you want to repeat and make the wrong one harder to perform. It's a biological rule. The brain always follows the path of least resistance. If sweets are in the cupboard, you'll eat them. If your phone is by your bed, you'll reach for it. If the people around you live distracted, you'll imitate them. That's not weakness. It's social neuroplasticity. You become a reflection of your surroundings. The disciplined person understands this and acts like an engineer. They design the environment before depending on willpower. They remove the wrong triggers and position the right ones. They keep visible what they want to remember and out of reach what they want to forget. If you want to build discipline, the first step is to physically clean the space where you live and work. Look around you. Everything that doesn't contribute to the kind of person you want to become has to go. Objects, noises, distractions, people, all of them are environmental code, and your brain is reading that code constantly. Every single element around you is a silent instruction. Start with the place where you work or study. Remove the excess. The brain thinks more clearly when the environment communicates order. Then look at where you sleep. Your room should signal rest, not stimulation. If your phone is your biggest enemy, keep it out of physical reach before you go to bed. The brain needs real barriers to respect real limits. At the same time, reposition the triggers that help you. If you want to read more, keep the book visible. If you want to exercise, set out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to wake up early, put your alarm clock far from the bed. That forces your body to act before your mind starts negotiating with laziness. Don't rely on willpower. Rely on design. You don't need to be stronger than your distractions. You need to be smarter than them. Create environments that push the right behavior forward
and make the wrong one inconvenient. When the environment changes, behavior changes. And when behavior changes, identity begins to take a new shape. That's how discipline is built intelligently, through spatial design, not through resistance. The brain adapts to everything it repeats, including the world around it. So if you really want to change, don't start from the inside out. Start with what surrounds you, because the world around you is programming your brain every single day, with or without your permission. The brain is the best student in the universe, but it doesn't learn from words, it learns from repetition. Every time you repeat an action, the same neurons fire together, and when they fire together, they form stronger connections. That's what neuroscience calls synaptic plasticity. Discipline is simply using this principle in your favor. It's not about forcing yourself to change, but about teaching the brain until it learns to act on its own. And the kind of learning that truly reshapes behavior is implicit. It happens beneath awareness. To train your brain to learn automatically, follow a simple structure. First, pick a single, measurable behavior. Nothing vague like, I'll change my life. Choose something concrete and observable. I'll study for 30 minutes. I'll walk for 10. I'll meditate for 5. The brain learns through repetition of specific patterns, not abstract intention. Then, repeat the action at the same time and in the same place until it feels automatic. Consistency creates predictability, and predictability creates neural comfort. The more stable the context, the faster the brain binds the behavior to the environment. And finally, never break the chain. Each day of repetition is a vote for the new circuit. Each break resets part of the process. That's why consistency matters more than intensity. Even on bad days, do the minimum required. The goal is simply to keep the pathway alive inside the brain. That's why fighting a bad habit is useless. You don't beat addiction by resisting it. You beat it by offering the brain a better reward. Dopamine is the messenger at the center of this process. It's released not when you receive pleasure, but when your brain anticipates it. That means a bad habit isn't fueled by the act itself, but by the expectation of relief. And this is where the scientific strategy of substitution begins. You must change the address of pleasure. Start by identifying the trigger behind the habit. It's rarely the behavior itself that controls you. It's the context that activates it. Notice what comes before: the time, the place, the emotion. Smoking, for example, might not be the addiction. The trigger is the break, the pause, the momentary relief. Then, replace the behavior but keep the trigger. The brain needs continuity, not rupture. If stress is your cue, trade the cigarette for deep breathing, a short walk, or a sport you enjoy. The stimulus stays the same, but the response changes, and over time, the new response grows stronger. Next, increase the reward of the new habit. Pair it with genuine pleasure. Listen to music, track your progress, celebrate small wins. The brain must see that the new path also produces dopamine. Without pleasure, no habit survives. And finally, remove access to the old circuit. As long as the old stimulus is nearby, the brain will return to it. The environment must support the new route. Temptation should never be within reach. With time, the new behavior starts to bring the same relief the old one did. Dopamine moves to a new address, and when that happens, the brain understands. This is the new pattern. Substitution is the most intelligent form of discipline because it works with the brain, not against it. You don't have to fight your impulses. You need to redirect them. You can have the sharpest mind in the world, but if the body is unregulated, discipline won't last. The brain is a physical organ, and its ability to make decisions depends on the chemistry that fuels it. That's why sleep and biological rhythm are as essential as focus. During deep sleep, the brain performs two critical functions. It consolidates recent learning and habits, and it restores the prefrontal cortex, the center of self-control. Sleeping poorly is like starting the day with the handbrake on. You can still move, but every decision takes twice the effort. That's why tired people are more impulsive. An exhausted brain seeks fast rewards. Discipline begins with the circadian rhythm. The brain operates in roughly 24-hour cycles, what we call the circadian rhythm. Within that rhythm, hormones like melatonin, cortisol, and dopamine rise and fall naturally, defining periods of energy, focus, and rest. Ignoring that rhythm is like trying to swim against the current. Going to bed late, waking up to alarms, and drowning yourself in coffee is the perfect recipe for a restless, unstable mind. You can master your thoughts, control your impulses, and still fail to be disciplined if you ignore the biological clock that governs everything inside you. Discipline isn't only a mental act, it's physiological. The brain, focus, and willpower all follow the rhythm of the body, and when that rhythm breaks, the mind becomes unstable and vulnerable to distraction. Sleep is the first pillar of this structure. During deep rest, the brain maintains the circuits that help you decide and resist. It clears chemical waste, reorganizes information, and reactivates the neural connections linked to memory and self-control. Sleeping too little is like trying to think with loose wires. You can still reason, but the system keeps short-circuiting. Impulsivity rises, focus fades, and willpower drains faster. The body operates in cycles called circadian rhythms, roughly 24-hour variations that regulate everything: mood, energy, concentration, and hormone release. When you sleep and wake at random hours, you force the brain to recalibrate the system every single day. That steals energy and destroys consistency. Disciplined people don't control time. They align with it. That's how they sustain stable energy, while the rest of the world swings between euphoria and exhaustion. If you want to train your brain for discipline, start with the body. Set a fixed bedtime, ideally before 11 p.m. That's when your body activates its natural restoration processes. Wake up close to sunrise. Natural light signals the brain that a new cycle has begun, balancing cortisol and dopamine. Before bed, eliminate artificial stimuli. Screams trick the brain into believing it's still daytime, blocking the release of melatonin, the hormone that prepares you for rest. Dim the lights, slow the pace, and repeat this every night. With time, your brain will recognize the pattern and fall asleep on its own, without struggle. Discipline is born from predictability, and sleep is the ultimate training in predictability. Sleeping well isn't indulgence, it's strategy. It's the moment when the brain rebuilds itself for the next day. A rested body decides better, resists more, and thinks clearly. The undisciplined try to control the mind without tending to the body. The disciplined understand that body and mind are one system, and that rest is a structural part of the order that keeps everything standing. Every human behavior is driven by a reason, but most people never bother to find theirs. They say they want to change, but they don't know what they're chasing or what they're running from. Without clarity, the brain simply doesn't obey. The human mind is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. Those two poles form the most primitive and most powerful motivational system that exists. And it's precisely this system that governs discipline. When the reason is weak, the brain chooses immediate pleasure. When the reason is strong, it endures discomfort. Discipline, therefore, doesn't come from strength. It comes from emotional clarity. If you don't know what's at stake, your mind will give up the moment pain appears. To uncover your true why, use a simple but profound method. Ask yourself why 5 times. Each answer pushes you one level deeper toward the truth. You might start with something superficial like, I want to wake up early. But as you keep asking, you reveal the real motive beneath it. I want to wake up early. Why? Because I want more time. Why? Because I want to work on my personal goals. Why? Because I want to change my life. Why? Because I can't stand the feeling of wasting my potential. It's at that final layer that the brain understands. It must feel the emotional consequence of what you want or what you fear losing. Motivation doesn't live on the surface. It lives in meaning. But there's an important detail. The right reason isn't purely positive. The mind also needs a negative reason, something to escape from. Pain is a powerful fuel when consciously directed. Think about what will happen if nothing changes. What will your life, your body, your mind look like 5 years from now? Visualize it vividly.
The brain responds to anticipated pain with the same urgency as real danger. A strong why is always dual, something to move toward and something to move away from. That tension creates direction. When you know where you're going and what you refuse to return to, discipline stops being a struggle. It becomes self-preservation. You don't maintain a habit because you're strong. You maintain it because you've understood the cost of quitting. The brain obeys the most emotionally real reason, and when the reason is true, the behavior becomes inevitable. Human beings act according to who they believe they are, not what they say they want. The brain doesn't execute intentions, it executes identities. Every time you say that's just how I am, you're writing a line of code inside your mind, and the body follows that code without question. That's why true discipline begins the moment you stop seeing yourself as someone trying to change and start seeing yourself as someone who is disciplined. Your internal language is the interface of your brain. It shapes behavior long before action ever takes place. When a person says, "I'm trying to be organized," the brain hears, "I'm not there yet." But when they say, "I am an organized person," the brain interprets that as a command for coherence. The mind begins searching for behaviors that confirm that identity. Neuroscience calls this cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of acting against what we believe ourselves to be. And it's exactly that discomfort that stabilizes the new behavior. With each repetition, the brain reinforces the cycle. Action, arrow, coherence, arrow, identity, arrow, new action. Over time, behavior stops being a decision and becomes a natural expression of who you are. But there's a subtle difference between those who change and those who only talk about it. Identity isn't created by affirmations alone. It's built through concrete evidence. The brain believes what it sees you do. Every small, consistent act is a vote for the new self. It's not about doing more. It's about doing enough for the brain to recognize that the new pattern is real. Want to change your identity? Then act as if you already are the person you wish to become. Even if it feels forced at first, your brain is watching and learning. It needs consistent signals, and when it receives them, it rewrites the code. You can rewrite who you are, one action at a time. Every morning you wake up at the time you chose, the brain records, "I am someone who keeps my promises." Every time you choose focus over distraction, it writes, "I am someone who controls my impulses." These micro-evidences build a new architecture, and disciplined behavior begins to emerge automatically. A disciplined mind is, in truth, a coherent mind. It doesn't struggle to do what's right. It simply no longer knows how to do what's wrong, because the wrong no longer fits who it has become.
Discipline isn't a talent, it's a construction. And every construction begins with an act of awareness. You now understand that the brain isn't your enemy, it's your laboratory. What you repeat, it records. What you observe, it reinforces. And what you ignore, it erases. The mind is not a prison, it's a learning machine waiting for clear commands. But here's a truth few are willing to face. No one will save you from indiscipline. No mentor, book, or technique can replace the moment you finally decide to act. Transformation is solitary, because the brain only changes when you force it to, through repetition of the right behavior, even without motivation, even without desire. That's where real strength is born. You no longer need to believe that discipline is suffering. It's simply the natural consequence of a well-trained system, a well-cared-for brain, a body in rhythm, a clear purpose, and a coherent identity. That's all it takes for the right behavior to become inevitable. Discipline isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters consistently until what matters becomes instinct. Now I want you to do something. Pause for a moment and write in the comments, "I am becoming disciplined." That simple sentence is a milestone. When you write it, your brain understands that the decision is real, and real decisions create new neural connections. It's the first command of the new identity you're programming right now. Leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. Here, we don't just talk about discipline, we build it through science, reason, and self-awareness. Each video is a lesson for those who want to think better, live better, and master themselves through logic, not emotion. Remember this, a disciplined mind isn't born from strength, it's born from clarity. You don't conquer chaos by fighting it. You conquer it by building order within yourself. Every day you choose focus over distraction, presence over impulse, purpose over instant pleasure. Your brain records, "This is who I am now." And when that pattern stabilizes, something extraordinary happens. Discipline stops being an effort and becomes your nature. Because the true power is not in controlling the world, but in controlling yourself. About 1 in 9 people over the age of 65 will be diagnosed with some form of dementia, and that number jumps to nearly 1 in 3 after 85. And here's the shocking truth. It may seem like an inevitable fate, but it isn't. Research from leading neuroscience centers shows that people who keep their brains active can cut that risk by up to 50% in their likelihood of developing dementia. And now, listen carefully. When you stop learning, your brain begins a silent process of deterioration. Memory becomes fragile. Reasoning slows down. Creativity fades. You start to lose the very thing that makes you human, the ability to think freely, to question, to create. You probably know that our bodies need constant stimulation. When someone stops training their muscles, what happens? They shrink, they weaken, they become fragile. The brain is like an invisible muscle. When we stop reasoning, questioning, and learning, it begins to wither in silence. The connections that support memory, logic, and creativity start to break down. And this process gives no warning. One day you simply wake up and realize you're forgetting simple details. You no longer think as clearly, and the mental energy that once felt natural is gone. Hundreds of millions of people around the world already live this reality. Many don't realize that the root cause is not just age or cruel destiny, but the lack of constant mental stimulation. How many times have you heard someone say, "I got old and lost my memory"? What almost no one tells you is that memory loss doesn't come from age itself, but from stagnation. A person stops challenging themselves, stops studying, stops learning new things, and the mind shifts into survival mode. It stops growing because it sees no need, and when that happens, not only does memory weaken, but the entire body begins to respond with signs of decline. But don't worry, there is a solution. You can change everything starting today, if you're willing. Imagine being able to stop this process before it even begins. Imagine living your whole life with mental clarity, with the energy to learn something new every single day. It's not just about reading more books or memorizing information. It's about staying alive on the inside, about challenging your mind at every moment, like a scientist facing the unknown. And here's the key. Continuous learning is like oxygen that keeps this extraordinary machine running at peak performance. Without challenges, without new information, without curiosity, the brain suffocates. But when you feed it with study, with reasoning, with bold questions, something amazing happens. It builds new connections, strengthens memory, opens doors that once seemed closed. And this is not only for the young, not only for scholars, it's for everyone. At any age. Imagine living your entire life with mental clarity. This is not just about reading more books. It's about staying alive on the inside. It's about constantly challenging yourself, acting like a scientist before the unknown, and keeping the flame of curiosity alive. Because if you stop learning, your brain gets sick. Now that you understand the danger of letting your brain sit idle, the inevitable question arises. What can you do to keep it from wasting away? The answer is clear. You have to keep it moving. And I'm not just talking about crossword puzzles or memorizing numbers. I'm talking about a lifetime of challenges, of new experiences, of insatiable curiosity. Every time you learn something new, every time you push your mind to wrestle with a different concept, it responds by creating new connections, strengthening old ones, and opening pathways that didn't exist before. It's as if you were expanding an invisible map inside your head. Every new word, every idea, every calculation, every reflection is a brick added to that mental construction. And here's the secret. No matter your age, the brain can always be trained. Think with me. An older person who decides to learn a new language challenges their mind just like a young student would. They're not just memorizing words or phrases, they're expanding circuits, forcing the brain to build new connections, exercising memory, attention, and even creativity. Each word learned is like a weight lifted in the gym of the mind, and science has already shown this effort drastically reduces the chance of developing dementia. Now picture another scene. A man of the same age, but who decided to stop. He repeats the same routine every day, never reads anything new, never challenges himself to understand something different. His brain conserves energy, settles, begins to shut down connections that are no longer used. It's like a muscle that weakens until it has no strength left. In a short time, memory lapses appear, reasoning slows down, and what could have been prevented turns into destiny. That's why we can never stop. Studying, reading, talking with people who think differently, learning music, writing, daring to take on new intellectual challenges. All of this works like a vaccine for the brain. It's the invisible shield against forgetting. Now pay close attention to me because I have a challenge for you. I want you to pick, in your head, one number between 0 and 10. Got it? Now pick another number, between 11 and 20. Hold those two numbers firmly in your mind. Now, without paper, without a calculator, only with the power of your reasoning, multiply them together. Take a deep breath, think slowly, do the math in your head. It may seem simple, but this small exercise is already activating connections you often leave dormant.
If you went with 8 and 19, may the universe help you. I sure won't.
And here's the most important part. Write the result of that multiplication in the comments. Leave it there. That will show not only that you listened, but that you acted, that you're not just a spectator, but an active participant in strengthening your own mind. The more you exercise your mind, the more protected you become. And here's the point I want you to remember. It's not about age, it's about attitude. The brain of an older person who keeps learning stays younger than that of a younger adult who stopped challenging themselves. Whoever keeps curiosity alive, whoever never stops seeking knowledge, not only protects memory, but also gains vitality for an entire lifetime. Now listen carefully. You need a practical guide that will keep you disciplined even when motivation disappears. Because the truth is simple. Motivation is like the wind, it comes and goes. What sustains you is habit, routine, the conscious choice not to stop. Pay close attention now because I'm going to give you powerful techniques to train your mind every single day. First, choose something you enjoy, but that also demands effort. It could be learning a language, playing guitar, solving chess problems, writing stories, painting, or even studying mathematics. The secret is to unite pleasure and challenge. What entertains you keeps you consistent. What challenges you expands your mind. And once you've learned, start teaching. Yes, teaching. Because teaching is the key that accelerates learning, deepens understanding, and turns information into wisdom. When you explain something to another person, your brain has to organize ideas, simplify complex concepts, and find examples that make sense. This process not only locks memory in place, but multiplies the strength of neural connections. It's as if by teaching, you etched knowledge into a deeper layer of your mind.
And here's the most amazing part.
You don't need a classroom for this. You can teach your grandchildren, nieces, nephews, friends, anyone. You can even teach yourself. Yes, talk out loud in the car, in the bathroom, in front of the mirror. Imagine you're explaining to an invisible audience. Every time you put yourself in this role, your mind grows stronger. Science has already shown that the brain learns in stages. First, when you receive information, then when you practice. But the peak comes when you teach. That's when your mind realizes what it truly knows and what it still needs to learn. Now imagine the impact this could have on your life. You read a book and then explain it to someone. You learn a new word in another language and teach it to your grandchild. You study a complex idea and then summarize it out loud, as if you were giving a lecture. This habit turns knowledge into mastery. And here's the final key. Don't wait to become an expert to start teaching. Teach from the very beginning, even if it's only a little. Because every explanation is training. Every attempt to translate a concept is a victory of the brain over stagnation. A master is not someone who knows everything, but someone who never stops learning and sharing. Second technique, set small, consistent goals.
Don't try to learn 100 words at once. Learn 5 words a day, but do it every day. The mind responds better to consistency than to bursts of effort. The brain loves rhythm. Train active memory. It's not enough to read or listen, you need to recall. Close the book and try to repeat what you read. Pause the video and explain to yourself what you just heard. It's in this effort to remember that memory strengthens. Create a fixed ritual. Just like you brush your teeth without thinking, make mental training a non-negotiable habit. It can be 20 minutes in the morning or half an hour before bed. What matters is that it's sacred, a promise you make to yourself.
Third technique, eliminate distractions, turn off notifications, create a quiet space. Your brain cannot grow if it's constantly being pulled away. Focus is the bridge between you and knowledge. Fourth technique, mix pleasure with discipline. Read about topics you love, but once in a while choose something difficult. Learning only what you like won't expand the mind. Facing what makes you uncomfortable is what creates new connections. Fifth technique, reward yourself. Every time you reach your goal, celebrate. A coffee, a walk, a break. The brain responds to reward and associates effort with pleasure. Imagine this. If you dedicate just 20 minutes a day to this process, in 1 year, you'll have invested more than 120 hours in training your mind. And that could be the difference between a brain that fades and a brain that keeps shining until the very last day of your life. Discipline is the key. Don't wait for motivation. Expect results. Every day you keep the habit alive, you are building an invisible fortress that protects your memory, your identity, and your freedom. So starting today, make it a ritual. Learn, explain, teach, even if it's just to yourself, because teaching is learning twice, and that's the path to keeping your mind alive, strong, and luminous until the final second of your life. Like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to keep your brain young and sharp, because here I'll show you how to never let your mind stop. Leave a comment telling me what you thought about this reflection. What struck you the most? What are you going to start applying from today on? Remember, every comment is one more step in this mental training, because learning alone is powerful, but learning in community, sharing ideas, is even more transformative. So comment, like, subscribe, turn on the bell, and never let your brain stop. Successful people think differently because they're not worried about other people's judgment. While the world criticizes, they create. While most people are busy protecting their reputation, they're too busy searching for the truth. And here's the key. Thinking differently is not an aesthetic choice. It's an intellectual survival skill. If you think like everyone else, you'll end up with the same results as everyone else. And the average is harsh. Uninspiring jobs, lives with no purpose, routines where people wake up, work, complain, and go to sleep. Nothing more. Is that really living? Or is it just surviving? Pay close attention now, because this may change the course of your life. Think differently or die average. Stop believing what everyone else believes. Stop repeating what everyone else says. Every success story begins with someone who dared to disagree with normality. Not because they wanted to look rebellious, but because curiosity was stronger than the fear of judgment. And it's this curiosity, directed and disciplined, that opens doors the average will never see. So think differently. And if you decide to think differently, prepare yourself for something greater. The freedom to learn anything, to create paths no one has created, to master your own mind. Listen carefully now, because what I'm about to reveal lies behind every genius mind: curiosity. Ordinary people lose curiosity over time. They accept ready-made answers, stop asking questions, stop investigating. They think they already know enough. And that's the moment mediocrity sets in. Now look at the people who truly stood out. Scientists, entrepreneurs, creative leaders. They all had one thing in common. They never stopped asking questions. Even if they didn't understand something, they would ask again and again and again until the answer finally made sense in their mind. This is the first step to thinking differently. Many people are embarrassed to raise their hand and say, "I don't understand," afraid of being criticized.
In a classroom, the student who asks too many questions is easily labeled as stupid. But the truth is exactly the opposite. The one who asks questions is one step ahead. The one who questions shows the courage to learn. That's why, if you want to start thinking differently, begin with the simple act of admitting your doubt. The courage to ask is the mark of someone who refuses to remain ordinary.
Now pay attention to me because I'll show you how to truly think differently.
Thinking differently is a daily exercise in intellectual freedom. The first step is to do what you love. When you work or study something that sparks passion, your energy multiplies. Normal is waking up tired because you spend energy on activities that don't inspire you. Different is waking up hungry for life because you're investing your time in what makes sense. Ask yourself, if nobody judged me, what would I choose to learn, to create, or to build? That answer points to your true path. Second, protect your mental independence. That means not letting other people's opinions become the filter for what you think or do. Most people fear being criticized, fear being called strange. But remember, everyone who changed the world was ridiculed before they were applauded. Thinking differently always bothers people because it exposes the mediocrity of those who follow the herd. Third, feed your curiosity without fear. Ask, test, explore. That's the fuel of innovation. Don't accept anything just because everyone does it this way. Ask yourself, is there another way? The simple act of questioning already puts you on another level. Fourth, simplify your life to free up energy for the essential. Those who think like everyone else get lost in excess. Those who think differently focus on what matters. If you're exhausted, it's hard to have the clarity to think in a new way. Energy is born from being aligned with purpose, eliminating the unnecessary, and putting strength into what truly moves your life. Pay close attention now, because what I'm about to tell you is one of the mind's biggest prisons, the fear of being different. Most people don't live their own ideas. They live other people's ideas. They're shaped by the opinions of family, friends, society, the media. They spend life trying to please, to fit in, to be accepted. But those who think differently understand something simple. If you always seek approval, you'll never have clarity. To think differently, you must learn to shield your mind against the pressure of the majority. And that starts with a daily exercise. Every time you feel tempted to do something just because everyone does it, stop and ask, does this really make sense to me? Does it bring me closer to what I want? Or does it just make me like everyone else? That simple question is enough to expose the automatic choices that keep you stuck in the average. Remember, life is too short to live dependent on other people's approval. Another point, choose carefully the voices you listen to. I'm not saying ignore everything and everyone, but be discerning. Ask yourself, does this person have results I admire? Do they live what they preach? Or do they just repeat what they've heard? If not, why give their opinion so much weight? Learn to separate constructive criticism from noise. And here's a powerful detail. The courage to stand by your own vision earns respect, even from those who disagree. At first, you may be criticized. You may even be ridiculed. But over time, when results appear, the same people who laughed at you go quiet. Nothing is more convincing than the evidence of a life lived with purpose and authenticity. Thinking differently is swimming against the current. It's bearing the pressure of judgment without giving in. It's choosing the clarity of your conscience over the empty applause of the crowd. And when you train yourself in this, you realize that freedom isn't being accepted. It's living true to what you believe, even if no one claps. Thinking differently isn't an inborn talent. It's a trained habit. You're not born outside the box. You build the box and then learn to break it every day. That takes discipline, and discipline is born from rituals. If you want to stand out, you need to turn curiosity and mental independence into concrete actions that shape how you think. The first ritual is the daily question. Pick any situation in your life and ask, why is this done this way? Don't accept the first answer. Go deeper.
Who said it has to be like this? Is there a better, simpler, faster way to do it? When repeated every day, this exercise trains your mind not to settle for ready-made answers. The second ritual is explaining out loud. When you learn something new, don't keep it to yourself. Explain it. Even if it's to the mirror, when you speak, your mind organizes, your ideas align, and the gaps show up. That's the moment you discover if you truly understood. This simple habit will accelerate your ability to learn 10 times more than someone who only reads and repeats. The third ritual is creative review. At the end of the day, take one idea or important concept you learned and recreate it in your own words. Use a metaphor, a story, an example from your life. This act of recreation makes the idea stop being external and become part of you. It's in this act that different thinking begins to flourish. And finally, the ritual of conscious observation. Set aside a few minutes to observe something ordinary and ask yourself, what is no one else seeing here? It could be an object, a situation, even a conversation. This practice trains your eyes to see beyond the obvious. That's how innovations are born, from someone who looked at the ordinary and saw the extraordinary.
Those who practice these rituals don't just think differently, they begin to live on another level of perception. And that difference builds up day after day until it becomes an advantage impossible to ignore. But here's the truth. The path of those who think differently is never easy. They are misunderstood, judged, often humiliated. The crowd cannot stand those who break the pattern because independent thinking exposes the mediocrity of those who prefer to follow the herd. It's easier to call someone crazy than to admit they might have seen something you didn't. But listen, every great person you admire went through this. Galileo was condemned for seeing beyond what the church accepted. Bruce Lee was ridiculed for mixing styles and creating his own philosophy. All of them were seen as too different until the world had to bow to the evidence of what they built. And here's the secret few have the courage to accept. Thinking differently is expensive in the beginning, but it pays dividends forever. The rejection you feel today is the same energy that will fuel your victory tomorrow. This is the path of those who refuse to die average. They choose truth over acceptance, curiosity over indifference, courage over fear. And with that, they build something that lasts, something that inspires, something that cannot be erased. So I tell you, if you want to think differently, be prepared to be misunderstood, be ready to be criticized, but also be certain that in the end you will be remembered. Because no one remembers the crowd that merely repeated. History remembers the names of those who dared to be unique. Think differently, protect your flame, and never bow to mediocrity. Because in the end, you either have the courage to live as an exception, or you accept dying as just another in the average. Now it's on you. I want you to prove to yourself that you've chosen to think differently. Write in the comments, I will never accept dying being influenced. This phrase is more than words. It's a pact with your mind, a declaration that you will not bow to mediocrity. And if you enjoyed this lesson, leave your like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, because here you'll keep receiving ideas that will challenge your mind, expand your vision, and accelerate your learning. Remember, those who think like the majority live like the majority, but those who choose to think differently create a destiny the crowd could never imagine.
Many people believe that focus is simply forcing yourself to stare at something for hours. But that's as ineffective as trying to push a wall with your bare hands. Here's the secret. Energy must be channeled, not wasted. Just like light, when concentrated into a laser beam, gains the power to cut through steel, your attention, when directed with relentless precision, has the power to break through any barrier in life. Pay close attention to me, because this can change the way you see yourself. Your brain works like a particle accelerator. Billions of electrical signals are firing every second, colliding, crashing, creating new connections. But without direction, all of that activity is chaotic, scattered, without results. When you learn to create focus tracks, the same way physicists guide beams of particles in straight lines with magnetic fields, what was once confusion turns into organized power. This is the first secret to training your brain like a genius. It's not about thinking of everything. It's about thinking of one thing with such intensity that the world around you disappears. And here is where discipline comes in. Don't confuse discipline with suffering. Discipline is, in fact, the art of simplification. If you can't explain something in a simple way, it means you haven't understood it. The same applies to your life. If what you're doing feels too complicated, it's because you haven't yet found the clarity that generates true focus. So here's the first exercise I want you to do. Choose one goal, just one, and write it down in a single sentence. Simple, clear, and direct. If you can't summarize it, then you don't yet understand what you truly want. Now, take a deep breath and reflect. How many years have you lost trying to embrace everything, when in reality the secret was to reduce? Think of Newton. Think of Einstein. Geniuses who dedicated decades to just a handful of questions, and because of that, they achieved greatness. Your focus is your most powerful weapon. Use it like a laser beam. Your brain is like a telescope. If you point it at nothing, you'll see only darkness, but if you adjust the lens and choose a single star, suddenly the entire universe begins to reveal itself. Focus is exactly that, the ability to eliminate the noise so you can see what truly matters. But here's the real question. How do you develop greater focus? Pay attention, because here's the truth almost no one dares to say. Focus is not something you find. It's something you train, exactly like a muscle. No one is born with unshakable discipline, but anyone can build it. Think of the physicist who spends hours adjusting an experiment. Every tiny adjustment is a victory against distraction. The same applies to you. Want more focus? Create environments where distraction has no place. Remove the excess. Eliminate notifications. Write down exactly what you'll do in the next hour and do only that. Does it sound simple? It is simple, but that's precisely why it works. If you can't create an environment that favors focus, then you don't yet understand your own mind. Training focus is training your mind to choose, and every choice is an act of power. Don't fool yourself. Every time you give in to distraction, you're strengthening the muscle of weakness. Every time you say no to an interruption, you're strengthening the muscle of focus. And here's a practical exercise for you. Every single day, set aside 30 minutes to concentrate on just one task without interruptions. If your mind starts to wander, bring it back, no matter how many times it happens. This is exactly like training physical endurance. At first, it hurts, but then you realize that pain transforms into strength. In just a few weeks, you'll have developed the ability to dive deeply into anything you choose. Remember this: the brain is plastic. It molds itself according to how you use it. If you feed it distraction, it becomes scattered. If you feed it focus, it sharpens like a blade. The choice is in your hands.
And now let me tell you something that might sting a little. If you quit just because someone laughed at you, it means you haven't yet understood what inner strength really is. If you stop because you feel tired, it means you still haven't realized that the body can always go further when the mind commands. Focus doesn't grow in times of comfort. It's born when you face pain, sacrifice, and still choose to keep going. That's how steel is made, through fire. Here's a powerful habit for you. Before going to sleep, write down in a notebook, what did I do today that brought me closer to my goal? What distracted me? What could I have done better? This simple act, repeated every day, creates a vigilant mind. It's like a scientist reviewing every detail of an experiment until nothing escapes. Do this for just a few weeks and you will no longer be the same person. The regret of not having lived up to your potential is infinitely heavier than the pain of discipline. The pain of waking up early, of studying when you don't feel like it, of pushing forward when nobody believes in you. That pain is temporary, but the regret of not giving your all is eternal. So make a pact with yourself now. Train your mind like a genius. Become unbreakable.
Now imagine this. You're facing a difficult problem, one of those that feels impossible. Most people give up because they see the challenge as torture. But a genius looks at that same problem as if it were a game. That's exactly how great minds transform physics into something fascinating. Physicists don't study out of obligation. They play with concepts. They sketch. They create funny metaphors. And that's why they're able to go so deep. And here lies one of the greatest secrets of humanity about learning. When you enjoy what you study, you don't just learn more. You also train focus and discipline to levels that seem almost superhuman. So what's the difference between someone who quits quickly and someone who dives deep into an idea until they master it? The difference lies in emotion. The one who finds joy in the process doesn't need external motivation, because the very act of studying, practicing, or creating becomes its own reward. This is the key you need to understand. Focus is not sustained by brute force, but by fascination. Want to improve your focus and discipline? Transform every task into an experiment. Ask yourself, how can I make this more interesting? How can I see this problem from a new perspective? By doing this, you activate curiosity, and curiosity is like a magnet for the mind. It pulls your attention without effort. The first rule is not to fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. That means you can't trick yourself into believing you have focus if you secretly hate the process. The brain rejects what doesn't make sense to it, but when you connect emotionally with what you're doing, focus arises naturally. And every time you practice this kind of playful, creative study, your discipline grows without you even noticing, because discipline stops being a prison and becomes freedom. Discipline is not just about enduring pain. True discipline is being so deeply involved in what you do, so passionate about it, that continuing becomes the most natural path. That is how you create not only unshakable focus, but a mind that learns and expands every single day. And this, right now, could be the moment when you decide to change everything. Your mind is your greatest weapon. It's not external resources, it's not luck, it's not what others say. It's your ability to train your brain like a genius, to develop relentless focus, to build discipline even when no one else believes in you. That is what will define how far you can go.
Stay with me here because
You need to understand this. The world is already full of ordinary people, distracted, trapped in empty routines. But those who decide to master their focus, those who cultivate discipline and curiosity, they become unstoppable. They don't play by the rules, they create the rules. They don't wait for opportunities, they build them. So here's the question. Will you keep being just another face in the crowd? Or will you take command of your mind and transform your life into something extraordinary? Be honest with yourself. How many times have you promised to change, only to give up at the first difficulty? How many times have you let distraction win? That ends today. Make a pact right now. Sacrifice what you must, but never sacrifice your future. Train your brain, sharpen your mind, and success will simply become an inevitable consequence. And I want you to do something right now. Write in the comments, I am unstoppable, to seal this commitment with yourself. This isn't just a phrase, it's an act of decision. Click subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and hit the like button, because this is only the beginning of a journey that can completely transform your life. This is the moment when you stop living as a spectator and start acting as the protagonist. Remember this, regret weighs forever, but discipline shapes champion. In your hands lies the power to write a new story. So stand up, take action, and prove to the world and to yourself that your focus is truly unstoppable.